Lipids are fats and oils. Just like carbohydrates, they're consisting of a monomer that makes up polymers. Monomers are the simple single unit. Polymer is a chain of those units. The main components to a lipid are glycerol and fatty acids. So in this case, a triglyceride means there's 3 fatty acids and that glycerol or glyceride. So you're going to be building a lipid model in the future, and when you do, you're going to want to remember this glycerol backbone and how it attaches these 3 fatty acids. So those are the main parts: the glycerol part, the fatty acid part. Here's another good example. Again, pay close attention to how this oxygen is bound to that carbon. So there's a bond there that's being shared. And each time that happens, some water is going to get lost from right here. All right, so dehydration synthesis as we make this triglyceride, tri-3, and then glyceride. So 3 fatty acids and a glycerol. So here's the way it looks. Here's our glycerol. We're going to lose that water as that fatty acid chain attaches. That's dehydration synthesis. You'll notice that lipids are made up of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygens, just like carbohydrates are. The difference here is that the ratio between the carbon, the hydrogen, and the oxygen is going to be significantly different. There's 3 types of lipids: triglycerides, phospholipids, and steroids that we're going to focus on. Of the triglycerides, there's 2 major types of this fatty acid chains. There's saturated fats and unsaturated fats. Saturated fats are going to be animal products. They're solid at room temperature. So notice these tails, they're very close together, and as a result, they can be packed very close together as a solid. The unsaturated fats, these tails, you'll notice that they're bent and that they are all spread out, which makes them more liquid at room temperature, animal products, and typically good for you. Here's what's causing that straight chain or that bent chain. In a saturated fat, every single carbon is saturated with hydrogens. In other words, it can't hold any more hydrogen atoms. In the unsaturated fat, we've got a double bond here that causes a bend or a turn in the carbon chain. So it's not saturated. We could add more hydrogens there if we wanted. But because of that bend, it causes the molecule to spread out more, which makes it liquid at room temperature. Triglycerides are glycerol, 3 fatty acids. So saturated fats, solid at room temperature, typically animal products, bad for you. Unsaturated fats are just the opposite, liquid at room temperature, plant products, good for you. So we use fats also for energy, 9 calories per gram instead of just 4. We also use them to protect organs and for insulation, like to heat. So here we can see in our label, for total fat, 3.5 grams. Saturated fats and trans fats are broken down. So we could see how much of this food consists of saturated fat and trans fats. Trans fats are where we've hydrated a unsaturated fat. We've added hydrogens to it. So phospholipids, what make up the cell membrane, we're going to take that glycerol, now 2 fatty acids in the chain, and we're adding a phosphate group. So this is what the whole thing looks like: a phosphate, a glycerol, 2 fatty acids. Here's our cell membrane. You can see the phosphate parts, the blue, and the 2 fatty acid tails are facing each other, and that's because oil and water don't mix. So in this case, the phospholipid head is hydrophilic, water-loving. The tails, fatty acid tails, the oils are hydrophobic, water-hating, so they face each other. So they're part of the cell membrane too, just like the carbohydrate chains. Lipids make up the cell membrane. So some body structures are made up of lipids. The third category are steroids. Steroids include things like cholesterol, so not all cholesterol is bad. Steroids make up things like cell structure also, as well as hormones, like secondary sex hormones, androgens like testosterone, and estrogens for girls. So you can have good or bad cholesterol. One easy way to remember it is LDLs are lousy. HDLs are healthy. So low density lipids are lousy. They build up on the artery walls. They cause high blood pressure and all kinds of heart issues. High density lipids are healthy. They clean out your arteries, and they consist of things like fish oils, olive oils. Here's an example of a normal artery and one that has that cholesterol buildup. See how it restricts the blood flow in that artery. Trans fats are the worst fats to eat. So trans fats, we've taken an unsaturated fat and we've added hydrogen to it. So it's in transition. In that case, margarine's a great example, but it's the worst because it raises the lousy lipids, cholesterol, and it lowers the healthy cholesterols in your body. Here's a little chart that just shows some good sources of fat. Things like canola oil is good, and some nuts that are good to eat, like walnuts, are good to eat to get a good source of fats. Omega-3s or fish oils are the best fats to eat, but then polyunsaturated fats are the next best to eat. Monounsaturated are good, butter is not so great, and trans fats are the worst. So if you have a problem with cholesterol, then it's dietary changes in lifestyle, like losing some extra weight, eating more plant-based foods, and incorporating better fats into your diet. Here's some examples of things that have lots of fat. Notice like cream cheese has fat, and it's the bad kind of fat, so it's saturated fats. Cheeseburger with cheese. The fat in prime rib. Nachos with cheese or ice cream. All those are the kinds of fats that would cause your heart trouble. Here's an individual's blood work. You can see the HDL, that's the healthy fats, are on the low side. The LDL, the lousy lipids, are on the high side. You'll notice that the cholesterol overall is high as a result of that. So this is an individual who might want to eat less saturated fats and eat more unsaturated fats and then lose some weight. So you can see how it has a direct effect on an individual's health. That's an overview of lipids, and I hope that helps.